Agile, it's a big trend right now, and here's what you're going to need to understand Agile. My name is Guilherme, and I'm a project management specialist. I help professionals to become successful project managers. To put in a different words, what I do. For example, I'm going to give an example of a case that I have right now. I'm supporting a professional there that he was assigned for a project, and he is trying to execute it to deliver it to a customer, but he has no project management background and not a lot of tools from the organization to support him in this journey. So what I'm doing there, I'm helping you to put a structure to make sure that he has a good visibility about the project, how the project is going, and of course, if they are going to be able to deliver this on time. This is one example what I'm doing right now, and I work with different people helping them, for example, to prepare their CVs, to get a project management position, to prepare for interviews, to get a project management position, to prepare for meetings, reporting, to have a perspective on their projects or to have a discussion, mentoring them in the path of growing their skills into project management. Before I forget, this here it's a warm up for the Project Management Summit. The Project Management Summit it's a free event, so I'm going to give 4 classes to help people to develop and grow their project management skills and to develop and grow their project management career. Everything there, again, it's free. There are going to be content, exercises, and hopefully a lot of interaction. The only thing that you need to do is subscribe in the link here to make sure that you get all the details when the time comes. And of course, don't forget to like this video here and share with other people, because once you like this video here, you help YouTube to understand that this content has value and help YouTube or Instagram or any social media to deliver this to more people. And of course, more people can learn project management and can learn about Agile in this case. But also you help me to understand the value of this content and help me to continue to develop content like that and to help you to grow into your career. So let's talk a bit about Agile. Agile, as I already mentioned, likely you've heard of that. It's a very big trend. All companies in the world they want to be agile. You hear that all companies, all industries, and all areas they want to be agile. What's the first thing that happened there? Most of those people, most of people don't know what's agile. I've seen early this week a discussion about people in project management. So project managers in the construction area talking about agile say, see, here's an agile project. There is no delivery date, there is no commitment, there is no scope. And when enter that discussion, because I see that a lot from mainly from people from industries that are not very used with agile, or because all types of reasons, including that if you look for agile framework like Scrum, it's not so suitable for their type of project. But let me first start with this misconception here. Working with agile, it's not about not having a planning, not about not having a delivery date, not about not having a budget, and not having a scope. If you are working with agile, if you are working with Scrum, yes, you do have a scope, although this scope changes. Yes, you have a scope, you have requirements. You have planning, although the planning effort is much more limited. It's limited to a sprint, and maybe, of course, maybe the product owner also should have a decent overview what's going to happen until the release. But there's planning. There's a release date, and this release date it's usually fixed. What changes in the release date is the scope. Uh, and there's a budget. I've never seen a company in my life where there's no budget, where people would say, "Hey, put a team together here, 5, 10 people, do whatever you want, and at some point come back to me." Maybe there's a company like there. I don't know, but I've never seen that in my life. All companies they want to have value delivery, they want to have a cost control, because money is not something that you can just go spending like that. So what agile is about? Well, agile is about delivering value. And what's important to understand is agile is about delivering value, but waterfall is also about delivering value. And here's also some misconception when I see, because I also see the discussion from a perspective from people just using waterfall, that they can find all reasons why agile does not work. But I also see the perspective from the people using agile or using Scrum, the agile transformation, the agilists, or whatever they want to call themselves, thinking that agile invented a lot of stuff without understanding that agile basically was built on lean, and without understanding that Agile did not invent leadership. Those things have been there for hundreds of years for a lot of those principles, those values there. So if you're using Agile, it was built on lean philosophy, on lean principles. That's an important thing that you understand. So if you're using waterfall or agile, your goal is still the same. Your goal is always, as a project manager, as a scrum master, as a product owner, is always delivering value to the organization. I would say even broader. Your goal as an employee, as a someone working in your organization, is to deliver value. The only reason why a company hires someone is because they have something that needs to be done that in their view has some value, and they need to hire someone that to do this task that's going to deliver some type of value for our organization. If at some point you are delivering as less value than your salary, it's when the company say, probably I need to find someone else that can deliver more value, or I don't need this position anymore. So that needs to be clear, because also that helps you to give direction. So your goal, if you're using waterfall or agile or any type of framework, we can be, when I mean agile, I mean all the agile frameworks. If you are talking about Scrum, Kanban, XP, Lean software, DSDM, or whatever new framework that come up there, your goal is always delivering value. That's the first big thing that you need to understand. So there are some misconceptions that I just mentioned to you, but also there's this goal there, delivering value. And if you're using agile, again, you need to have a plan. You're going to have a scope, you're going to have a budget, and you're going to have a delivery. This is there for all types of projects, for all types of organization. What's changed, and that's why I have here this, what you see, the overview from both approaches to try to compare them and to explain them, is with if you're working in waterfall environment, you are expecting that you have much more clarity on your scope. So that's the first thing. And of course, depending on the type of project that you are having there, building something incrementally and adapting something can be quite expensive. And I can explain to you, if you're building a bridge, well, you need to make sure that you collect all the requirements up front. Why? Because if a bridge should support, I don't know, thousands of 1,000 cars at the same time, and suddenly when in the middle of construction you found out that instead of 1,000 needs to be 10,000, that has a very big influence in your project, meaning that you might need to destroy everything that you did and start again, which is quite expensive. That's why you invest a lot in mapping requirements up front and planning, because adapting is not so easy. I give you another example. If you're working in product development, I've worked with product development, um, developing supply chain for automotive business. I've worked with product development, developing the product itself, managing the OEM. The OEM is basically the end customer, or the big customer that you have there, like Volkswagen, BMW, Tesla, Toyota, or all those big companies. Adapting, depending on the type of product, is quite expensive. For example, I've worked with the supply chain base, building, for example, connectors, different types of connectors for different type of product, like electrical connector. That's a piece is very small, made of plastic. But if you say I want to adapt something in the design, well, usually has a cost and has a time required for that. Depending on the type of the change that you are doing there, it can be very time consuming, going for sometimes few months and cost you thousands of dollars. So adapting is not so easy. So that's important that you understand when you're talking about waterfall. Of course, you want to know the requirements up front, but you also need to understand how easy for something to adapt. Why? Because if you are working with Agile, you're expecting that you don't need to invest a lot of time trying to understand all the requirements there, because you understand that at some point the requirements are difficult to map. That's why you take what you know, you prioritize that, and you work with something. Because why? When you are doing something and you are getting feedback from the user, the customer, whatever you want to call it, you are going to learn more about your product. And so your vision about the product can be improved, and you can understand how this product can add more value there. So that's a bit of the trick here. And if you're using Agile, you must be sure that adapting, it's not so time consuming and so expensive. In the example of a bridge, and you say, now I want to change something here. It's, yeah, but the foundation is ready. You need to break everything up to do it again. So that costs thousands of dollars and might cost you months of delay in your project if you do that. And it's also depending on the other type of product. If it's very difficult to make different releases. For example, if you buy a car, you want to have the car complete there. You're not going, if you buy a car, you're not, and you go to the dealer and the dealer tells you, hey, by the way, come back next week or 1 month later, because then I'm going to install the air conditioning in your car. Say, I don't want that. So the deployment of this increment, how we are going to do that, it's much more difficult. In a software, it's very easy. For example, Apple, you have an iOS update, I don't know, maybe every 2 or 3 months. It's very easy to deploy an update on iOS. No one needs to travel anywhere. They just press a button, it goes via network there. So understanding those differences, it's what's important here. And as I always say, there's no best approach. There's only what's more suitable for your situation. This entire discussion in what's better, waterfall or agile, it's a complete waste of time. Because in some situations, waterfall will be very suitable. I'm telling you, if you are buying a house, you want to have a fixed price. I'm not sure you, but I'm for sure I want to have a fixed price. And if you have a contract with a fixed price, also it's difficult to work so well if you're to adapt changes. For example, here in the case of a house, let's assume that you buy a house. Then the house is almost ready, and you go to the contractor and you tell him, actually, I want to change the color of the walls here. I don't want white anymore. I want everything in blue. What he's going to tell you? Fair enough. That costs you, uh, I don't know, 10,000 more, and I need another 2 months for doing that. They say, no, no, but I want the house now. So you don't change. So there are trade-offs. When you are working in the virtual world, and if you are working even in the design, adapting can be much more easier. If you go to the physical world, yeah, adapting a car, it's not easy. If you're going to adapt construction, might not be easy. So keep that in mind when you see those. That's why when I see those discussions, I see, for God's sake, how people that are so supposed to be experienced, they're having this discussion, because what they're trying to do. So that's a message that's very important for you to understand. And that's when you talk about agile, because if it's a trend, everyone wants to get on board, even though people do not understand that. They just want to be agile, but they do not know what's agile, they do not know what's scrum, they do not know what's waterfall, they just want to be part of the trend. And of course, in general, if people want to do that, that's fine. If you are a project manager, you are a professional. You should at least understand, say, okay, we can be part of the trend, but those are the requirements. Those are the conditions that we can use here. And that's, or you can say, that's what we can use here from Agile. That's what we can take parts of a Scrum to add value in any type of organization. 100%. You can use Kanban to manage the flow of work to try to add more value in your organization. 100%. But in all types of projects, it's going to be so easy to update requirements and to adapt the scope? No. In all types of projects, easy to change what's executed? No. Sometimes it costs a lot of money, thousands of euros, thousands of dollars, or millions of dollars, depending on what you're doing there. So your job is not fall in love with a specific approach. So your job is not falling in love with waterfall. Your job is not falling in love with agile, Scrum, Kanban, or whatever it is. Your job is delivery value for your company, for your project, and for your team. In different organizations, that will mean different things. How? Well, in some organizations, if you are working with software, using Scrum, very good. Can be a very good way to help your organization to deliver value. Much better than, for example, trying to use a waterfall. And how do I know that? Oh, few years ago, and probably when I talk about few years, that has been almost 10 years, so around that time frame. The company I was working on, they had a project that they want to change the enterprise resource management system. That's the maybe SAP, Oracle, or any other type of system that a company have. SAP and Oracle, they're the two most famous ones. What happened in this company? They had a global project that was pushed by the headquarters. So, and they decided to implement first in the business unit I was working on. And in this business unit, I was a key user for the project management area. What's a key user? I was there to share the requirements from the project management team, to learn, and also to help to train other people in the new system. What happened is, after more than 1 year of a project, of hours of meetings trying to explain requirements, I was never able to try the system, even if it was in a very limited way, even if it was the standard, at least to understand what the system could support as a standard without customizing, without a lot of customization. And of course, the project was canceled. But what they were doing, they had a big Excel sheet where they were trying to map requirements. But of course, here you have also the challenge of communication, that I was trying to communicate something based on my background, on my project management background, and they were trying to see something based on whatever they would need to write as a software there, or whatever they would need to customize in the software there. And that we were almost never able to close this gap, because I did not try the system, so I did not understand if what they were proposing is going to work. And they were telling me, oh, that's what I can do. And say, okay, let me try to see if it works for what I need to do. Because if you show me five slides in a PowerPoint, I say, that's very nice. Can I try it? So it did not work. The project was canceled. But that's an example that I was part of, that trying to use waterfall in a software implementation a lot of times go bad. And I mean, before someone says to me, yes, there are still software companies that are using waterfall, they still can deliver value and whatever, that's okay. What I'm telling you, that you don't need to fall in love with any approach. So if a company is there using waterfall and it's working well, they are delivering the value that they need, they continue to improve, they continue to grow, beautiful. It's not because there's a big trend called Agile that you should just go on board without thinking on that. If you're using Scrum in your organization and you're delivering the value there that organization needs, beautiful. That's your job as a project manager, is to deliver value. Your job is not use Scrum. Your job is not using a Kanban. Your job is not using Waterfall. Your job is not knowing the 10 knowledge areas of the PMBOK. Your job is delivery value. Once you understand that, then you are going to start to focus in what's required. Of course, if you know the different approaches, if you know waterfall, if you know agile, if you know Scrum, if you know Kanban, if you know Lean, that gives you more options how to deliver value. So that's very basic, right? If you are trying to fix something into your house, if you have a nice set of tools, that gives you a better chance that you're going to fix it whatever breaks in your house. If you have only one tool, That might be a challenge. If you have only one hammer, then you need to do you need to drill a hole in the wall with a hammer. Yes, you can do it. It will not be pretty, and very likely it will be difficult to hang something there. So before just jumping on trends in those discussions that agile is a trend, what you need to understand is, does it add value for the organization? Does it add value for the project? Does it add value for my team? And you can only do that if you understand what agile. Agile comes from an agile manifesto. That was a big milestone, this agile movement or this agile trend that you have there. Not saying that before the Agile Manifesto, companies they were not using something like that, but the Agile Manifesto is probably the biggest milestone that marks the initiation of Agile, at least as a big trend out there. Not meaning that different companies were not using executing projects in an Agile way, if you want to call it. But it's important for you to understand that Agile is just an umbrella term that fits a lot of different frameworks below it. Here I'm going to see here, and I like very much this overview because that gives a very good view on what I'm talking about. Because you have Lean, that's a very big universe there, and you have Agile, that's this umbrella term that's used for a type of software that you want to do, that type of products that you want to build incrementally there. And then you have all those types of different frameworks that they go inside of Agile, like Scrum, Crystal, Scrumban, XP, DSDM, Kanban. Why Kanban is half of inside of Agile, half inside of Lean? Because Kanban started with Lean. And of course, nowadays, if you look in the Kanban University, they have the Kanban methodology that they adapt the Kanban from Lean with a lot of different flavors there to make sure that could be used for knowledge workers there. But still, all those things that you see there, Kanban, the philosophy, reducing waste, focus on the customer, that comes from Lean philosophy there. And when people start talking about agile without really understanding, just because it's a trend, they do not understand how connected this is with Lean. That might also block them to implement something in the organization. Because I can tell you that instead of just saying that you want to jump in a big trend, you can, if you explain that, okay, that's something that they have been developing and that's been evolving from Lean, to make sure that you also can use that in your organization. If you are working in a manufacturing company, there's a very big chance that, or at least I hope, that your company has heard about Lean, Lean manufacturing, Lean management, or the Toyota production system. But that's very important there. And of course, if you explain for an organization that's already using Lean, that you want to use something that evolved from that for project management, you might find less resistance there. So it's important to think about that. And thinking about resistance, why? You are a project management. Your goal is to deliver value. So in some situations there, you are going to need to explain to people what's agile. But if you do not understand what's agile, how can you explain that? If you because if you do not understand what's agile related with, how agile relates with Scrum, how agile relates with Kanban, how agile relates with Lean, what's the difference between waterfall and agile, then you are having trouble there. Then you enter this discussion saying, here's an agile project. It does not have a scope, it does not have a budget, does not have a delivery date. In what world do you think a company would agree with that? Let's just say, hey guys, here's 5 people. I don't know what you are going to do there. Hang out there, but I want to make sure that at some point you deliver something to me. Just go and have fun. If you've seen that before, I've never seen that in my life. And I've worked with organizations around the world, uh, North, South America, Europe, Asia. Never seen that in my life. But if you tell me that exists, I would love to hear from you. So stop this discussion about waterfall, saying that waterfall is better than, or saying that agile does not work because that and that. Or also the other point, stop this idea that agile is reinventing the wheel. Leadership did not start with agile. So of course, agile has its merit that start focusing a lot in developing the people, making sure that you are talking about a collaborative team, self-organizing team, that you are talking about a more real type of leadership, a more servant type of leadership, that also make sure that you develop the right values when you are working with team. But I can tell we with 100% of certainty that leadership did not start with agile. If you read books from Peter Drucker, you are going to see a lot of good practice that you see there already on Scrum, for example. If you read back Stoicism from Marcus Aurelius, almost 2000 years older, you are going to see values and principles that make sense there to be a good leader, to work in a team. So thinking about that if you're not using agile, it's just crappy leadership. That's just a boss calling the shots that like that. Yes, there are companies trying to do that, but not necessarily because they are doing waterfall, they are trying to do that. There's, by the way, there's companies trying to use Scrum, trying to do that. So understanding those different perspectives will help you to move forward. Will also help you to explain to your organization, to explain to your team what's the value in what you are doing there. It will help you to deliver value for the organization. That's the most important thing. The organization, more the value that you deliver for organization, higher the salary that you are going to have. If you cannot deliver, if your value delivery is very limited there, your salary also will be very limited there. And just to be clear, when I'm talking about value delivery, what's value delivery? Solving problems, risk mitigation, uh, delivering projects on time, on budget, or achieving a business goal, achieving a business case. All those things are valuable. Developing a project team, that's value for your organization. So stop looking to for an idea that does not exist. The world is different, industries are different, people are different. So one side does not fit all. That's the basic that you need to understand. So before suggesting for a company just jumping into the agile trend and saying that, understand what's agile, what's its value, how you can use that based on your current situation. And even if you say I'm going to study, I'm going to learn, and I found out that Scrum is not very suitable for the type of project that my organization have, that's okay. You can see, okay, what are the types of things that help you Scrum to deliver more value? How I can implement at least few parts of that in my day to day, and I can guarantee to you that you're going to have. Sprint has Sprint. Scrum has an event that's called Sprint Retrospective, where the team gets together every sprint. One sprint goes from 1 to 4 weeks, maximum 4 weeks. That's the idea of the time boxing. So maximum once a month, the team needs to get together to see how they can improve, and not how they can improve the product, but how can they better work together, how can improve their communication, how they can improve their procedures or their processes, or how they can find ways to deliver more value for the organization. Just the sprint retrospective, that's something that you're not going to find in most of organizations. That's already something that can be very valuable. And of course, you don't need to call it sprint retrospective. Like don't be naive and say I'm going to call it sprint retrospective and no one's going to understand it. But say, okay, this is a very nice thing. How can I adapt to use this into my reality? Then you can call it continuous improvement, Kaizen. By the way, Kaizen is also from Lean. And you can see how you are going to implement in your organization to add value. So what you need to know about this agile big trend that most people don't really know what this is about. Most people don't really know how to get value from that. They just know that there are a lot of people are doing that, then just say, ah, if they are doing that, I also want to do that. So don't do that. I'm not sure, of course, how your parents were, but at least in Brazil, there was a saying that if you would say to your parents that everyone is doing that, then the standard answer from a parent would be, if they would jump off a bridge, would you do the same? So if your answer is no, so why you want to do the same just because everyone is doing that? So stop thinking about what everyone is doing. Start to understanding what makes sense for you to do into your organization, into your project, and with your team. Considering that all all organizations are different, all industries are different, all teams are different. You need to understand what suits your reality there. Again, don't forget to like it and share this content so also more people can understand what's this agile trend and how really how to approach this to make sure that you can get some value of that. And of course, if you also like this video here, it helps me to understand the value that it has for you and how I can further help you to improve your skills. So if you understand what I'm saying, that if you get my point, just write it down in the comments. I got it. Why I'm asking you that? Because it's a way to confirm that you understood my message here, and that's very important for me here. Because also I'm working to improve my communication towards you. And don't forget, this is part of the warm up for the Project Management Summit. Don't forget to subscribe for the Project Management Summit. It's a free event. Will be 4 classes about that. But the event and the content will only be for 1 week. The event, all the content, the material, and the exercise will be available only for 1 week. So make sure you don't miss it. Put in your calendar there, and let's get the most of value that we can in this week together.